Hello, I'm an anti-nuclear activist. Did you hear that nuclear power plants are going to poison our children and destroy the world?
Yes, it seems like every newspaper in the country is trying to convince me that nuclear plants are going to kill me.
Don't you believe them?
No.
Why not?
Because there have been more than 100 nuclear reactors built in the United States since the 1960s, and not one single member of the public has gotten sick, injured, or killed because of a nuclear reactor.
Then why would newspapers print stories that make people think nuclear power plants are going to kill everyone?
Probably because it sells a lot of newspapers. After all, over 100 nuclear power plants operating safely without hurting anyone for 50 years does not sell a lot of newspapers. But scary words like radiation and nuclear cause fear, and fear sells a lot of newspapers.
Oh, I see. You must be one of those corporate people who lies, so greedy nuclear plants can poison our children for profit.
No, I'm a guy who makes a decent salary working at a nuclear power plant. My entire family lives within 3 miles of the plant. If I was poisoning your children, I would have to be crazy to live next to the same plant. Do you even have children?
No.
I think I understand now. You use loaded words from popular culture that evoke a negative response like corporate, greedy, and profit in order to vilify your opponent. Then you call him a liar and try to generate sympathy for yourself with the children you don't have. This way nobody notices that you did not even try to refute the fact that not one single person has ever been hurt by a nuclear power plant.
What about the nuclear waste? It lasts forever. There, I've won this debate.
Repeating a popular phrase used by other anti-nuclear activists and declaring yourself the winner is another common tactic used by anti-nuclear activists. Nuclear fuel is 96% recyclable. Of the remaining 4%, most of the radiation has decayed within the first few hundred years. If nuclear fuel was recycled, all of the nuclear waste a family of 5 would generate in their entire lifetime would be the size of the tip of your pinky finger.
But it's deadly forever.
No, it is not. After a few hundred years, the used nuclear fuel isn't much more radioactive than the uranium was when it was first dug out of the ground. On the other hand, things like lead and mercury that fossil fuels emit remain toxic forever and never decay away. Those things are being pumped into the atmosphere by the millions of metric tons as we speak.
But wind and solar power will change all that. We don't need nuclear.
Wind and solar only work about 1/3 of the time. The rest of the time, the wind is not blowing, or the sun is not shining. When this happens, you have to burn natural gas to make up for it.
But isn't natural gas a fossil fuel that emits carbon dioxide and causes global warming?
Yes.
Isn't natural gas drilled and sold by the same corporations that drill and sell oil? The same corporations which I despise so much?
Yes.
Aren't oil and natural gas corporations the same corporations that pay for TV advertising campaigns promoting wind and solar power?
Yes.
But why would oil and gas companies want to promote wind and solar?
Probably because they know it will keep people like you distracted from all of the harm they are causing the environment, and also because they know wind and solar power do not threaten the monopoly they have on the world's energy market. At the same time, they finance anti-nuclear groups like the Sierra Club, who file endless lawsuits against nuclear power.
Why would oil and gas companies want the Sierra Club to file lawsuits against nuclear power?
Because from 1970 to 1990, nuclear power plants stole 20% of the United States electricity market away from fossil fuels. Nuclear power is the only source that poses any threat to their balance sheet.
You mean to tell me that nuclear power is the only realistic alternative to fossil fuels?
Yes.
And that the fossil fuel companies know this, and so they pay for people like me to file lawsuits against nuclear power?
Yes.
And those same fossil fuel companies pay for expensive TV campaigns to convince people like me that wind and solar will replace their own product, even though they cannot.
Yes.
And in doing so, those fossil fuel companies have actually used me to ensure the world remains addicted to fossil fuels?
Yes.
So what you're telling me is, I am actually the one who is representing greedy corporations that are poisoning the children in order to make a profit.
Well, now that you mention it, yes.